The average Chick-fil-A location is pulling in $8 million a year, with the best location doing over $20 million. What does it take to run one of the most successful restaurants in the country? And the question everyone wants to know, does Chick-fil-A really marinate its chicken in pickle juice? But beyond the food, it's the culture that sets Chick-fil-A apart. From record-breaking sales to legendary service, we break down the Chick-fil-A secret sauce.
It blocks my face. That's good news. That's what we want.
Yeah. Well, the idea is it won't be blocked. But yeah.
This is a radio face.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll kind of just like have a conversation and we'll actually ease into it from there. But are
you can edit the whole thing. I know you can work the magic. You can make me look better, thin a little bit off the cheeks.
Yeah. we can do whatever we need to. Were you over at the mall today?
I was.
Nice.
Worked all day today.
How is the mall location with like the new concepts they're putting in everything? Are things getting better, or things? How you feel about it?
With what's going on with the economy right now, I think things are a little interesting, and so people are kind of making a little bit of an adjustment financially, personally. So I think we're seeing with all the stuff in the news going on, people are. I don't know if it's affecting us, but mentally, I think it's affecting us.
Yeah, I feel like, too, when you think of a mall, like you're thinking of, hey, I'm going to go splurge. Like, I want to check out all the shops. I want to get this, that, and the other. And then when you add a food concept inside of that mall, the last thing people are doing is like, hey, I want to go to the mall to get food.
Exactly. But the only way we get customers are those that actually wanted to go to the mall to shop and then get food, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, when times get tight, fast food, unfortunately, is now becoming a luxury item, which I can't believe we're saying.
Well, it's interesting too, though, because you have I imagine you see the promotions like Chili's doing like their $10 burger, fries, bottomless, like whatever, this, that, and the other. Like now, what's been long considered like sit down concepts are now battling with like the QSR restaurants for that value proposition.
Yep, exactly. What B-Dubs Wings is doing what, $19.99?
Yeah.
Is it unlimited?
It's you get like 2 entrees, 2 sides, and a drink. I think I got it one time.
Yeah, it's like $20.
Great. Yeah, I got like 20 boneless wings, 2 sides, 2 sides of tater tots, a drink. It was
that was
great.
just for you. So
yeah, that was it. Yeah, I took like 8 boneless wings home. Yeah, it was great.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think you're seeing a lot more of that. I think people are trying to get a little more creative. Again, because people are thinking that eating out is becoming a luxury. That used to be something we all did. Now with things tighten, it's like, you know what? It's more of a luxury idea.
What was your involvement with restaurants like growing up? Were your parents involved in?
No, we were in the grocery business actually. So we were in the grocery end of this whole world of the food world. Our family owned some IGAs.
Okay,
we're dating ourselves here. I think there might be one left. East Canton closed theirs. There might be one around town left. But we were in the Independent Grocer Association world, and that's where we were at for probably my whole college and high school years, and I thought that's what I was going to do. And then as I graduated from college, this is where the whole Chick-fil-A thing rose its ugly head out of the sand.
Yeah, well, ugly.
And it was
beautiful.
It was a beautiful thing. Yes,
yeah.
It was a beautiful thing.
So first job growing up, like a stock boy, shelves, like what were you?
First job, 3rd grade, pallet repair. So if you guys have wooden pallets, I'd repair them. Uncle worked at Sugardale, which is now Fresh Mart, and I repaired pallets as a 3rd grader. I would take nails out of a board and pound them through, and I get paid 50 cents a board.
Nice.
I was just talking to one of our leaders the other day.
And that had to have been under the table, right? Because you're.
No. It was a family business. It was completely.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so I just told a manager the other day at the store, I've actually never worked a per-hour job in my life. We were just talking this just like last week. It's so funny you asked that. And I told him, I said, I've never worked a per-hour job. It's always been like that was piecework.
Yeah.
So if I had 100 boards done.
However many you completed, that's what you get paid for.
Yeah. Never, they come in and clock in. Grocery store, us salary. And Chick-fil-A, I've always been salary my whole life. And so we were just talking one day, and the guy goes, actually, you've never worked a job per hour in your life. One, you're right, I haven't.
That's a crazy, it's a crazy perspective to have.
So I said, there you go. But because of that, it's kind of helped my philosophy with people who work for me hourly to try to find ways to have them engage in the business so that they don't feel hourly, so that they feel like partners and not employees.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I definitely want to touch on the employee environment around the brand that you're involved with here a little bit down the line. I think bouncing back, you mentioned being involved with the grocery, going to school. I don't think initially was your involvement to franchise like you played basketball growing up, you're involved in sports and things like that.
Yes.
At any point in time growing up, was this entrepreneurial spirit a thing, or the business mind? Was that always in your blood, did you feel like?
Our family's always been entrepreneurs. And so if I probably have 7, 8 cousins, and they all have businesses. Todd's got Enviroscape. My cousin owns We're Rolling Dough Pretzel Company. My uncle owned the old Varsity Isles in Louisville and Alliance back in the 70s and 80s. And so we've been around people creating businesses all my life. And this business of me working with those pallet business, that was my uncle's side business. And so I've always been around entrepreneurial, hey, how can we make money and start these businesses? And so that's always been instilled in me, but I had no idea it was going to be in the Chick-fil-A chicken restaurant world. No. That was
so how does that come to fruition? You come out of school, you're looking for something to do, and they approach you? Or?
So I'm out of school in June, going back to the family grocery store. This is what I'm going to do, be a grocer. Join in buy into the family grocery business. That's what I'm going to do. And next thing I know, my other uncle, he calls me and says, hey, I got this company called Chick-fil-A, and they're interviewing people for franchises.
What year was this?
This was 87.
Okay.
So I graduated in June of 87. July of 87, my uncle tells me about this. I go down and interview August of 87. I trained September of 87, opened my store November 3rd of 1987.
Wow.
So right out of college, left the family business, and my uncle said, hey, go try it. It doesn't work out, come on back. Well, it's been 40 years, never went back. But yeah, I went with Chick-fil-A and had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know who they were.
It's unbelievable. Now it's like, how do you not know
right. what you're getting yourself in for?
Right.
It's one of those stocks you buy at a penny stock for $1, thinking there's no way it's going to go to $100, and it does. So.
Yeah, it happens too. Something that I think is super interesting about you and your family and everything growing up, you've always been very faith-based and things of that nature. And I think, obviously, Chick-fil-A being promoted as a Christian company and having those faith value beliefs, did that play a role in why you felt cemented in partnering with a company like that?
Yeah, it's funny because when they advertised for the franchise, it said own your own business, small capital investment, closed on Sunday. And I went, there's no way. A business, a restaurant closed on Sunday? That's impossible. So that's when I really started intriguing, because in the grocery business, I'm working
24/7,
7 days a week. I'm missing church, and I'm having people miss church to work shifts for me so I can go to church and all this other stuff. And I had a big issue with that. It really bothered me. Like, hey, I'll just cover, you just go, and I'll work this Sunday. But with Chick-fil-A, like, wait a minute, closed on Sunday. That means I don't have to work, but that means I don't ever have to employ anybody. So there's never any decision like, hey, I'd like to go, but my boss is an idiot. He makes me work every Sunday, so I can't go to church or this or that. So yes, so that lined up really well with what my mission was in my life, with my faith. And so with Chick-fil-A, then I go down and meet the Catholic family, a privately owned family. They're a Christian-based family, very much about giving back. They don't talk much about money. They don't talk about chicken. They talk a lot about people. And so it really intrigued me. And for the first 10 or 12 years, it's intriguing because we didn't make money. So you better be about something else besides money, because we weren't making it.
I think, and like we've already said a handful of times, it's like Chick-fil-A is this massive brand now. Restaurant, like the average revenue per year is like $8 million per store location, something ridiculous like that. But the earliest days, like you mentioned, no one knows the brand. The chicken wars are 20, 30 years out from ever becoming even something's in someone's thought process or the zeitgeist of this social media world we live in now. What were the earliest days of opening that operation like and building it up from there?
It's hard when you walk into a food court, Belden Village Mall food court. Now, back then in 87, Belden Village was still the only place. There's no strip. There's no other retail. You're going to the mall. That's the world I grew up in. Belden Village Mall, man, that's the place to go. And so when I said I'm gonna put a store in the Belden Village Mall food court, I thought I arrived. Like, oh baby, we're going to Melville. It's a big city for a Louisville boy. We're going to the big city. And so when I opened it up, it was so discouraging. It was myself, my mother, my sister started, a couple of my cousins. It was especially a lot of nepotism in there as far as those starting days. If I didn't know you and you were related to me, you
also a little ahead of your time with the nepotism.
Exactly, yes. And so, I walked in, that first year and just looked down the way. We had Taco Bell, had McDonald's, Burger King was behind us, had all the big boys. And, they're covered up, lines like crazy. And I've got nobody. I got nobody. And McDonald's is running like 8 registers, 10 people deep in the mall. And I'm just sitting there with myself, my mom. We're staring like, what have I done? This is so stupid. And then with Chick-fil-A, we just, their big thing was, listen, no one knows us. Once they know what we have, this product will sell itself. And so it's easy when you're selling something that you don't have to worry about standing behind. And I said, man, they just try this. So we sampled all the time. Toothpicks all over the mall. We're sampling to everybody. We give it to everybody. Our philosophy, just give it away. Just nobody's going to buy. If you don't know what something is, you're not going to pay for it.
Well, you got the Japanese thing across the concept across from you. Yeah, 24. I'll take as many samples as I can get.
Exactly. And so we knew, and I knew that the product was so good. And when I had it, I said, man, this product is good. We could make money at this someday. And so the more we got in people's mouths, it just slowly started to turn that ship roll. Like, you know what, this is pretty good. And so I tell people all the time, sometimes with Chick-fil-A now, 30, 40 years later, we talk about the people and the philosophy and all the rest. But foundationally, we're a chicken sandwich. And if that's not right, it doesn't matter what else we're doing. And so we started like, we're a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich restaurant. That's who we are. And that's where it started, was emphasizing that product. And I think that's what you're seeing now, 30, 40. We're kind of coming back and emphasizing our product.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, not having to worry about standing behind the product. It's something you don't even have to try to believe in. You just know it's real.
Yes.
It is the best out there, and you don't have to think about things like that. You talk about opening the mall location. You end up opening up the standalone location. At one point in time, we have the Cedar Point location.
Yep.
Derek's in the garage busting out lemons
lemon
for lemonade.
We're doing stuff at the house, the garage. We're doing whatever, any way to make it happen, baby.
all this crazy stuff and it's 3 different locations. Obviously the standalone, the mall location are 5 minutes apart, but then you're going 3-4 hours north to the Cedar Point location. And all 3 concepts are so different in where they are specifically and then how I imagine they're operated. Were there any major differences? And then why did some work? Why do some still work today?
Yeah.
Why did some not work?
I think the mall situation, again, you touched on it earlier. It's about the traffic and people changing their patterns. It's online. I can go to Macy's, walk right back out. Back in my day, you'd go to the mall. That was a day out. You just walk around the mall. You just keep lapping the mall, baby. There's nothing else to do in Canton, Ohio, baby. Let's just lap the mall.
Before people were getting their steps in.
Thank you. Exactly. It didn't need to. Didn't know we needed 10,000 steps. And so as things have changed, that's why Chick-fil-A changed in 92 and to 96 and started putting street locations. We had to wait, of course, till 05 to get ours in the street, but I just knew if we ever brought one of these to Canton, Ohio, it's going to be a good day. And we waited 17 years for it, but it came and it was a very good run. It still is. No longer there, but it's still a very good run over there. So.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. The double wraparound. You just had the remodel while you were still in the ownership.
Yeah, so we did a remodel in 2019. COVID hit. The good Lord again blesses great things. But we were 2019 remodel, got the drive-through double done, got all that stuff done, and then COVID hit.
Yeah,
and of course all we did was drive-through, and we just hit the ground running. And just took off from there, and then it just elevated to a whole nother level in 2021.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable timing. I want to bounce back to the employee side of things a little bit now. You mentioned the drive-through business. Chick-fil-A is notorious. You got the people out there with the iPads. 3-4 employees running around taking orders from cars that are 3-4 back in the line before they even get to the payment process of things and things like that. But something that's obviously very synonymous with Chick-fil-A nowadays, my pleasure.
Yes.
I guess in terms of the question, I mean, how does that phrase become a brand standard, and what does that actually mean to you guys, and how do you instill that in the people that work for you?
Yeah, Truett came up with that phrase. He stole it. We steal everything in Chick-fil-A. We don't.
Well, I think everyone steals
we
everything.
just steal the great idea and then we try to enhance it. So
Yeah,
we
that's how you become the best.
Yes, and so the Ritz-Carlton used to have this. And so when you go to a Ritz-Carlton hotel, which I've only stayed at once in my life because I'm not spending $500 for a bed, but in the Ritz-Carlton world, it's a very hospitality business. And so when you would go to a Ritz-Carlton, they would never point. They would always take. So if you ever ask a question, they would actually take you. They'd come out behind the desk and they would walk you to the bathroom. They would walk you to wherever. They don't say, bathroom's over to your right. Elevators, no, they would take you to the elevators. And they would always end every transaction with everything. Whenever the word thank you was mentioned, my pleasure. So Truett, our founder, stayed at one of these and he's so impressed by this whole feeling of hospitality. He goes, man, if we could just capture that and bring that back to a restaurant, we could change the world. And so we had our annual event every year that we come together as franchise owners, and Truett stood up in front of 2,000 or 3,000 and goes, okay, from now on, in this world of Chick-fil-A, when anybody says thank you, I'm talking vendors, employees, each other, anything. Anytime you hear that word, you got to say my pleasure. We're going, this guy's nuts.
What's he talking about?
What's he doing? He's 72. He's losing his marbles. This is never going to work. And so, of course, he stands up. He says, all right, thank you. And we all say, my pleasure. It falls flat. We're all going, this is a big waste of our time. Of course, we fast forward now. And over the next 5, 8, 9, 10 years, he started to really unpack what he meant. And what he meant was the words, a lot of people use my pleasure. I mean, some people, I've done seminars and people go, we want to talk about customer service and my pleasure. And employees hate us because the boss is always, you got to be more like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You need to be nicer.
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A delivery.
Yeah, and
that's what we try to be
people
at one
hate
time.
that because
Yeah.
I don't, and so when I go to these places, I said, guys, listen, I said, the words mean absolutely nothing. If you really don't mean them, don't say them. And so we have to train our people that before we had the words, we already had the actions. So when you have a my pleasure action, which means that it comes from a sincere heart that I actually do want to serve this person, that I actually am excited that they're in my presence, that I actually know that the only reason I'm in business is because of that person. We all say that. Customers are number one. But remembering that really, if it's sincere and a customer believes you, that you think that they're there and that you are so thankful that they're there and you're sincere, and then you close with my pleasure, they begin to say the words are matching the actions. How many times you go to a place and hear my pleasure, none of the actions are matching the words.
No eye contact. They drop the check, say it as they're walking away.
3:33, walk away, drop your food,
right.
don't even care about nothing. It's just flat. And I said, don't say the words my pleasure. And so when we train our people, listen, we say my pleasure. You're going to use, and if you may not last here just because you can't mean those words, because maybe that's not in your DNA. I mean, my cousin owns a landscaping business. I mean, he's got places you can go and spread hundreds of yards of mulch and never talk to another human being. You'll never have to say my pleasure. That might be a place for you. But in this land, working and serving people, guess what? You're going to have to deal with a lot of people, attitudes and all the rest, and you're going to have to do it with the right attitude.
Yeah, it's so impressive. And you mentioned early on, allowing employees to feel like partners in the business, not necessarily like you're speaking down to them you didn't say that, but I guess I'm putting words in your mouth a little bit there. But your daughter works at the Chick-fil-A with you guys. Chick-fil-A, I believe, has scholarship opportunities for the employees. Super, super amazing culture that this brand has built up over the years. How does that get cultivated? What does that feel like as the owner of the brand, of the concept itself? Like, what do you do day in, day out to ensure that that's how the employees feel when they're coming to work? They're not working a 9 to 5. It's not an hourly job. This is a great experience. You're benefiting by being a part of the Chick-fil-A brand.
Right. And I think that's the key is that I know they're hourly employees and I know how hourly employees think. And so an hourly employee thinks that when I'm getting paid 9 to 5, that's what I'm going to work is 9 to 5. So that's why when I've never put anybody on salary because in my mind, somebody always loses in a salary position.
Yeah.
Either the employer loses or the employee loses. Okay, it's Monday and I worked an extra hour, so I think Wednesday I'll take an hour off early. Who's playing this game of what hour really is? Well, I worked 3 hard days. I'm taking 2 days off early. I'm going, no. If you're here in my place, you get paid till 6 p.m. Get paid till 10 p.m. If you work 24 hours in a row, you get paid 24. So I've always paid my people hourly, but I've also came to them to understand that they're going to have a piece of this business. And so when we were across the street at Dressler, every day was a game. We would bonus people on sales numbers. We bonus people on how many cars per hour. We bonus people on breakfast sales. We bonus people. We had so many bonus programs going out. We had a sheet, and you would just sign your name. If we hit the car goal for that day, you'd sign your name, and everybody in the restaurant, all 49 people that were on that hour shift from 12 to 1, 49 people, dining room, drive-through, they'd sign their name. They get a small little bonus. What I wanted them to know was that they know on a busy day, someone's making some money. If it ain't Doug, it may be Chick-fil-A, but somebody's making some bank. I mean, when you see 200 cars in a drive-through at COVID, somebody's making money on 200 cars in a drive-through. I want my people to know that if we do better, you do better. There's a beautiful little financial company called Fishers, or whatever. They say that. They stole it from us. If we do better, you do better. Or they say we don't get paid until you get paid. And so my people knew that if we did better as a business, they would personally do better. And so we would look at a lot of W-2 forms from our leadership people, and we'd always try to make sure that if our business was growing, that their income was growing along with it. That's how you create partners and not employees. Employees' mindset is, it's 5 o'clock, I can leave, somebody else will do it. Or I work 3 extra hours, I'll take 3 extra hours off. A partner says, what's best for the business? So my people, it's 9 o'clock, they're staying. Why? Because maybe they'll get another hour bonus. Hey, boss, if I stay another hour, would I be involved in that? But yeah, you'll be involved in that. But I'm staying. Let's go. Let's get more cars in here. So when you instill that game of business, the great game of business where everybody's winning and everybody's pulling in the same direction, I want more cars, which translates more sales, which translates more profitability, which translates more way to afford my labor and income. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. That's why you see people in the drive-thru running to your car, or you see somebody, going crazy on the iPad, like, let's move these people along. Why are they like this? What's wrong with them?
They're
There's
incentivized.
a little incentive for them. Yeah, there's a little incentive.
Yeah, that's it's just wildly impressive when you break it down like that, the game of business. A bit of a hard turn. We talked about the product speaking for itself. I know in the last year, the chicken recipe was updated for like the first time in decades, or the first time since the brand's existence, or something along those lines. I know you and I talked about it a little bit off camera at one point in time, like on a drive to a golf course or something like that. But
it's the antibiotics.
Yeah.
And so there's all kinds of antibiotics that had been in food years ago, probably 10 or 12 years. And then it all started this big antibiotic thing, and everybody was taking it out of food. Matter of fact, you hear some places saying, we'll never we'll never use antibiotics ever. They have a great commercial that, just don't throw things out to fix things. So Chick-fil-A came back and said, listen, there's different kind of antibiotics in food. There's all kinds of discussion on what's harmful, what's not, and nobody really has the right answer on this. There's a lot of scientists and a lot of science behind this. But what happens is your size of your chicken really gets affected. And so we did away with antibiotics, and we were able to still keep the sizing of the chicken okay. But what happened is the volume with COVID, it just exploded. When you go to a chicken processing plant and try to figure out how many chickens they have to go through in a day, the gestation period of a chicken has to be shrunk to like 28 days now. Well, when you do that, you get a smaller bird. But you also have more birds together, so what we're having the bird flu and stuff, you sometimes have to put things in there so other birds don't make other birds sick. So the big discussion is, some people say, I'm never going to eat antibiotics. Well, there is antibiotics in some of your food.
Yeah, that are helpful.
Some are not. And so Chick-fil-A had to make the hard decision to say, listen, we got to make sure that we don't run a complete outbreak in our places by not having any antibiotics. It's really hard to run that without. You want to do a free-range chicken and all the rest, that's great. But try to produce hundreds of thousands of chickens a day that have to be actually used to produce this much chicken. I went to a processing plant, and there is a wheel that runs constantly with chickens on it being processed. 300,000 chickens a week. And it's just, I will never go back. I don't need to. I've seen it once. It just blows my mind when you look at any food processing in this country, how much food has to be produced. And because we only do chicken, and we only do chicken a certain way, our suppliers have to meet certain standards. It's very difficult to be a supplier for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, the production, the logistics of getting it from A to B to however many locations.
All I know is chicken shows every day at my restaurant. I have no idea how it got there, and I'm just thank the good Lord it's there.
I would do the same. I think while we're on the discussion of the product itself, a highly contested debate out there, a bit of a Chick-fil-A conspiracy theory is why the chicken is so good itself. I thought maybe we could debunk something, or maybe just feed into the conspiracy a little bit more if we're unable to answer. Does Chick-fil-A use pickle juice to marinate the chicken?
Yes, and so the key of all chicken, you can buy a boneless breast, skinless breast at any grocery store in the world. But what happens is, why is it coming into the Chick-fil-A door and all of a sudden it has this addictive behavior where people will go through walls to get it? And so what is it? And so it is a lot of the marinational process that happens on the front side through the whole process. It's always being marinated. I mean, you may put some fillets and some light Italian dressing at your house for a couple hours. I mean, ours is always in marination at all times. And yes, pickle juice is one of the top things that we use. And so I tell people all the time, if you have any pickle juice brine left over from a jar of pickles, save that. Make sure the pickles are gone. And then put your raw fillets in that. Now, there's more than just pickle juice in the brine of marination with Chick-fil-A. But, garlic powder and vinegar in the pickle juice, and let that sit in there for a while. And when you bring that fillet out after a day or so, it's going to be the most tender thing you've ever had in your life. And that's the difference, is it has to be a juicy. Because most chicken breasts, you think of a chicken, it's a dry. It's a very dry product.
I'm a big proponent of talking a lot of shit about chicken.
Yes. And a lot of it's dry, it's stringy. And so that pickle juice and the marination really softens all of that up into that chicken. And then you cook it under pressure at 325 degrees. Then that pressurized oil that's around it. Again, it's really hard at home. Not many people have a pressure fryer in the garage. You have a Fry Daddy. So with your Fry Daddy, you throw your filet in there when it's breaded. What happens? It's in an open fryer. Well, we don't cook our chicken in an open fryer. It's in a pressure fryer like KFC does. That's why KFC is one of our closest competitors. They can ever figure out the piece of chicken getting it right, or the coating that's not so much
bready.
Thick, so much breading. Yeah. They could be close to us because they hand bread and they pressure cook. And so they're very close to us.
Think about it, KFC corporate.
Yes, think about it.
Yeah, they just moved out of Kentucky though, or something like that.
I know.
So they got bigger problems.
Plano, Texas,
they got bigger things to worry about right now than their chicken.
Yeah.
The double wraparound, the construction in 2019. In my personal experience as a customer at Chick-fil-A, when I use the app to order online, you get to the store, a million cars in the drive-through. You can pick two options: pick up through drive-through, pick up in store. Why aren't more people using the pick up in store option? It seems much easier.
Well, we could also ask the question: I'm watching a sport game or I'm playing a video game, and I'm willing to have someone bring the food to me for a surcharge of $8 because I can't get off my couch and get in my phone and go in there. Same thing. That drive-thru's got 30 cars, but I can check my email. I can be on my phone. I'm not going to park and walk across there and go inside. I got 4 kids in the back. I'm just going to sit in my car and wait. And there's other people who want the interaction. Panera was great in the old days where they would put their food on those little bookshelves they had. I mean, you could get a turkey sandwich every day for free. Just walk in and say, I'll take that one and go home. I mean, you don't have to pay for it. No. But the point of that is some people want the interaction. Some people want that point of interaction. They don't want to grab their food and leave. Or some don't even know in this county how to sometimes use the app. And so at our age, including myself, if I want something on an app, I just call one of my kids and say, hey, order Chipotle or Starbucks, and then you can pick it up and bring it to me because I don't have it. And so it could be an age factor here too. But to your point, the most beautiful way that you can do the Chick-fil-A app is you can actually, if you want to eat in the restaurant, you can sit down and do a dine-in mobile, where you sit down, scan the table number, do your order, and it'll show up on the screen, table 39, and we'll bring it out to you. And so we have a guy that goes into Chick-fil-A at Dressler every day, sits at table 65 and orders his food at home. Once he hits the parking lot, he hits here, walks into table 65. He's the guy that's eaten 1,500 days in a row, and he has a reserve sign on his table. He walks in, they take the reserve sign off, set his food, and he eats. So
unbelievable convenience.
Yes,
unbelievable.
Exactly. So to your point, I mean, I think some people just like the thrill of the drive-through. I think they feel like they're in NASCAR.
Yeah, I guess we can. I want to obviously Deliver that being the catering delivery service and things in the delivery world. I thought we could talk about some things in relation to that. I know obviously Chick-fil-A available on Uber Eats, DoorDash, the platforms of things. You're very involved in the catering realm. You have your own delivery drivers. You outsource to some third-party delivery services as well. What is the segmentation piece in when third parties are used to provide or when you're using an in-house driver?
So a lot of guys will do in-house drivers only if they feel they can have enough service angle that they can do it better than a DoorDash. And so a lot of the Chick-fil-A guys will have their employees taking the food, where they'll be taking them maybe in a clean environment. They'll take them in a hot bag. Very similar to what you guys do. You guys do it with professional people. You do it with hot bags and way to keep cold and hot. And sometimes the other companies don't do that. They just pick it up, throw it on your doorstep, or throw it in the office and walk away. And so the difference of what you guys do, which is a very similar model to Chick-fil-A, is that your guys are professional. You try to set things up in a professional manner, but you're also trying to deliver food safely. And so that's why we've pulled a lot of our stuff back in, because we found out that some of the companies we were using aren't doing that. And that's why you're even seeing a lot of Chick-fil-A's even do their little orders, like a number one meal, they're delivering like a DoorDash. For that reason, because they feel the quality of delivery. They'll knock on the door. They'll wait for someone. They'll say, "How you doing? Have a great day. Thanks again, Ben. I'll see you tomorrow," and hand the food to them. They just won't ding dong and ditch them. And
they're doing the on-demand deliveries themselves too.
Yes, they just started testing that. Yes.
Wow, that's wild.
So they're trying to sync up 3 or 4 orders at a time, and the driver goes out and takes 3 orders, comes back and picks up, and it's a logistic nightmare, but they're attempting to do it.
Yeah,
yes.
I can imagine. In terms of the catering itself, you guys obviously do a ton of the individually boxed lunches. You do a ton of the platters, I would guess it, with the chicken fingers, the nuggets, things of that nature. What role does the catering play for your sources? What role does catering play for your store specifically, and how does that drive success for you guys in store?
Yeah, and so a lot of times the catering angle for us is that maybe no one ever tries Chick-fil-A. But when you bring a catering order for 20 people, then they have it there. We call it paid-for sampling. It's like it gives somebody an opportunity to say, "I've never gone to that Chick-fil-A. Drive-thru's too busy. I'm not going there. That's ridiculous." But they see that was phenomenal. I might be willing to wait the next time, or walk inside and do a mobile app thing. And so catering for us is another avenue to get more of that food in people's mouths that maybe would not even choose us in the first place. So when somebody in the secretary or the front office person, or the administrative assistant, orders lunch, sometimes she's asking everybody, but there may be one of those 20 people that doesn't have a say-so in lunch, but Chick-fil-A comes rolling and they go, "Oh my gosh, this is the first time I ever had Chick-fil-A." And so catering for us is great because we get to get it in more people's mouths. They don't have to come to us, we come to them, which is the whole reason you do catering delivery, is they don't want to come to you and be inconvenienced. And so we take it to them.
When you say paid sampling, do you guys actually do other avenues where you're maybe donating to churches or anything like that avenue where it is free for the customer themselves as a sampling?
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll do every school, have a chess club, NHS, They have basketball, football. So we tell all the schools, listen, everybody gets a team feed. Everybody gets a free team feed. You get one. I don't care if you're chess club, Natural Honor Society, I don't care who you are, volleyball, basketball, you get one. And we do that because a lot of teams do team feed. They want donations. But we do that for a reason. A, it gets in people's mouths, and so it's a free donation. But also we find out that people that try say, it's pretty good. I may try that again. A lot of times, again, like we talked, people sometimes won't pay for something if they don't know what it is. But if you give it to them to try it as a trial, that's why everybody has a trial, 7-day free trial. And then you try it, you either get
auto renew.
Yeah, it's auto renew.
Auto renew.
So in our case, our free trial is try it, and if you may fall in love with it. And so we find out that that's how we sample a lot of times, by just doing team feeds.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's so many schools around here,
Yes.
sports teams,
Yes.
a million people you could do that with. Last thing I think we can talk about in terms of delivery, packaging, quality control. The waffle fries, preeminent at Chick-fil-A. Everybody loves them. But fries don't usually travel the best in terms of delivery. And then you have a chicken product where uncooked chicken, is it salmonella? Is that the thing? But there's some worry about uncooked chicken when it's traveling or consumed or anything like that. What steps does Chick-fil-A take to ensure a great experience just with that delivered food and making sure that packaging holds the heat correctly and shows up to the customer the same way it left the store.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've witnessed our black TMS temperature control bags. I mean, they hold them hotter than an
What's
oven.
wild to me too is you guys leave them with the customers and they bring them back. Is that how
do.
you that
So
works?
if we feel like it's going to be longer than a half an hour or something, we want them to keep that bag and then bring it back. And so like guys put air tags in and all the rest, or we have the phone number and who picked them up and who's using them, because that is a huge quality control. You keep it in there, baby. It's a great sandwich. When you talk waffle fries, we actually have put a coating on our fries now. I think other restaurants started doing that, and we started that about 6 months ago to coat the fries, and actually it holds them a little crispier. They don't get as limpy, and we did that because there's been so much delivery issues, and we've changed it. And if you try one now and you get it in your bag and you take it home, it's going to be a lot better product than it was before, because a lot of the restaurants started doing this coating on there. And so we've started finding out that, hey, a waffle fry with this little spray coating on there, it makes it phenomenally pretty good as a delivery option. Because that was our number one complaint, was fry sogginess on deliveries.
Yeah, I can imagine. There used to be a company, there's a conference, like one of the first ones I ever went to, their company name was Soggy Food Sucks.
Yeah.
Their like preeminent thing was, how do we deliver fries?
Exactly. It's hard. So you have to be able to coat the fry. If you just try to do a flat potato without any kind of coating on it. So we've tried it 6 months. No one even knows we've even done it, but the taste profile is phenomenal.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I'll have to get some Chick-fil-A delivered and try it out.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to close out on, I don't mind if you don't want to share these numbers or anything like that, but something we talked about, 87, you open your first location. 2025, Chick-fil-A is the preeminent brand in the QSR space at this point in time. What were your revenue numbers your first year versus what could they be in 2025?
Yeah, so the average of a freestander in 2005 when it came in was $2 million. Matter of fact, if you're doing $2 to $3 million in 2005, you were running a pretty good store. Now, a good store, of course, the average is 8 to 9, but we have stores doing 10, 11, 12. We got a guy in Texas doing $20 million.
Unbelievable.
Out of one store. And so those revenues and numbers are crazy. And so when you think of McDonald's and Panera and Chipotle, I mean, their averages are 1.5 to 2 to 2.5. I think sometimes Panera can get to 3, 4 maybe. So logistic of us, we know it's about volume. Our model, our franchise model, is all based on volume. And so we have to have volume for this model to work for Chick-fil-A Inc., but also to work for the local franchise owner. So that's when you talk about incentives. The Chick-fil-A owner knows if he doesn't have volume, this model is not going to work. And so those revenue numbers now that you're seeing the $8, $9, $10 million range just blow my mind. I mean, I just can't fathom it sometimes.
Hey,
the numbers you guys are putting
took the
out.
penny stock to the moon.
Oh, they did. You better believe it. They sure have. And so since it's an independently, family-owned company, it's privately owned. So everything goes back to the Cathy family, of course. There's no stockholders, unfortunately. If they ever do go public, we're all going to be happy people.
Yeah, I believe it. Doug, thank you so much, man, for coming in office.
Yes.
I appreciate your family over the years, the
Yes.
friendship of your son, who is my roommate, casually
Yes.
on the weekends or weekdays
or whenever he wants to stop in.
when he happens to be there. But I generally appreciate the relationship we've shared over the years.
Same here.
Thank you for coming in and sharing your story with us, and we'll see you very soon.
My pleasure.